My guest today is Cricket Keith, and she was formerly on staff with Campus Crusade for Christ. She has traveled a great deal in ministry in East Asia. She's a graduate of Dallas Theological Seminary, and right now she is the director of women's ministries at First Evangelical Church in Memphis, Tennessee. She is a retreat and a conference speaker, and she is author of the newly released book, The Gift of Rest. And we're so honored to have you with us at the Speak Up Conference.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, I first have to say, how did you get the name Cricket?
I know everybody asks me that. Let me just say, first off, my mom and dad did not name me Cricket. That is not my real name, but I was on staff of Crusade one summer on a staff beach project. We were giving nicknames out. One of the guys said, "You remind me of Jiminy Cricket because you're bouncy, you're chirpy, you're just little. We're going to call you Jiminy Cricket." Shortened it to Cricket, and it's followed me all these years.
Well, it suits you very well because you're a bundle of passionate energy for God's glory, and that's a good thing. You write Bible studies for your women's ministries, and I want to know, why did you pick the topic of rest?
Well, you know, as the women's ministry director, I have women coming into my office all the time, and I started noticing a trend about a year ago. These women would come in and say, "Cricket, I'm exhausted. I just don't have enough time to do things. I'm worn out." And I began to think, what is wrong with us? Why is it that everybody, including myself, is exhausted? And so I began to just search the scriptures to see what is God's perspective. What does he say about rest? From Genesis to Revelation. And this Bible study came about, and I took my women through it and saw lives changed as a result of, you mean I should be embracing this gift of rest instead of pushing it aside?
Why do you think we don't make rest a priority? Why do we just let it go and keep in our busy gerbil on a wheel mode?
I think part of it is that we don't understand truly God's perspective on rest. And the excuses that I hear most of all for why people don't rest are, I'm too busy, I've got too many things to do, I don't have enough time to get those things done. The problem with that is we've taken on more than God intended us to take on. And so we're exhausted because we're doing too much. Another reason they say, I feel guilty if I rest. I mean, I need to be productive, and if I'm resting, people are going to think I'm lazy. And I think if we really look at Scripture, which this study does, you will see that God values rest. From Genesis, where he enjoyed his creation with the day of rest, all the way through Revelation. And Jesus obviously took time to rest. When he had busy days, there were still things to be done. There were still people to be healed, demons to be cast out. He took rest, and we should too.
Well,
I just think people have lost the perspective of the value of it.
And it needs to be a priority for sure.
Yes.
I know you were in a time of no rest in your life when you were writing this book. You were caring for a 98-year-old mother.
Yes.
You had a deadline on your hands.
Yes.
And how do you find rest in a season that's filled with busyness?
Yes, and that's, sometimes there are seasons in life, it's not because our priorities are wrong. For me, caring for my 98-year-old mom in a nursing home was very difficult. And I would come home at the end of work, I'd go to the nursing home, come home. There'd be times 2 in the morning I'd get called to the ER, and there was no physical rest. But during that time, I found that you can still find rest by drawing away and just having some moments with God to talk to him, whether it's in the car driving home from the ER in the middle of the night, getting into his word. I can't tell you how many times in the middle of the night I would be reading his word, exhausted, but having his word refresh me and giving me rest. So there are those seasons, whether you're a young mom that has a house full of kids, or somebody like me caring for an elderly parent, you just have to find that time to draw away and spend some time with the Lord. And that's how you find that rest. I call it a soul rest.
That's very wise counsel. And I know that when you speak, you have some favorite themes. What do you love to share with women at conferences and retreats?
I am passionate about discipleship because that was such a major thing in my life, was somebody discipling me. I love to encourage others in that area. But I also love to help people find their purpose in life. You know, I think, and that helps with rest. Once we know what our purpose is, we know what to say yes to and what to say no to that's going to make us get distracted. And so those are the two things, discipleship and finding your purpose.
Well, I know I need this book. The title is The Gift of Rest. You can find more about Cricket at cricketkeith.com, and I want to strongly encourage you to purchase this book on Amazon.com or go to the link on her website and look at the possibility of bringing her in as a speaker for your next conference or retreat. Cricket, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.